Yo friends, welcome to Next Level Consciousness with Linnea Stella. Today we are gonna talk about how to surrender using human design, so you don't wanna miss that. If you haven't already, hit that like button and subscribe so that you stay up to date with all the exciting things that are happening on this channel. So I am filming this from my sister's house in Spain, sitting here with all my crystals. It's actually my sister's crystals. I don't have the budget yet to invest in my own spiritual bling, apparently, so yet another reason for you to subscribe. Anyhow, over to today's topic, because this is something huge that the universe actually channeled through me yesterday. So we hear a lot about all the spiritual concepts, for example, letting go and surrendering, and sometimes I think that we all feel that these are very important concepts to embody and to start to live. But sometimes it can be a little hard to know exactly how to do it, right? Because we as humans are living, at least partly, in the third dimension. We want to know the how. How are we actually going to surrender? How are we going to let go? And I have found human design to be one of, if not the most accurate frameworks for taking these more theoretical concepts and turning them into something tangible that actually has effect in your life. So that is what we're gonna do. If you like this, we might go on with some more concepts, but today we're gonna focus on surrendering. And to make things even more meta, we are gonna take an example from my own life, namely how I finally managed to start this YouTube channel after having thought about it for 13 months. Yeah, that's right, 1-3. 1 year and a month from the moment in which I really got the idea and I felt a whole body hell yes, and I knew that yes, I am so meant to do this feels so right, this feels so exciting, yet nothing happened. And this is not common for me, I can say. I'm a manifestor. If you know human design, manifestors, we just do things like this, we don't wait. So for me, this was completely new to actually know that I was so meant to do something, yet nothing happened for such a long time. And once I get that first video out, I realize why. And this is what we're gonna talk about in today's video. This might actually lower my credibility as a human design expert a little, but to my defense, I can say that I failed to practice what I preach. Because I always talk about in my readings of the importance of really surrendering, of trusting the universe, of just letting go. And that is when the magic happens, and I know this to be so true. But once again, to my defense, often the blind spot for us is ourselves. And it's so easy to sit and tell other people what to do, and we really feel it, that this is the right thing, but we fail to see the actual applications in our own life, where we could apply this and where our lives could be so much better. It gets easier with time and with practice though. So what actually happened? Why didn't I launch my YouTube channel for all this time? The reason is that I got stuck in my head. And I share this because I think it's really common for us. Why? Because society is putting so much emphasis on the headspace of your being. And now you are a multidimensional being. You don't just have your head. You have mind, you have body, you have a spirit. In human design, this is exemplified by your energy centers. So actually, I made a little drawing here. It's my gate 62 and my defined mind center. So this is a human design chart. This is not my attempt to become a professional designer. So no judgments here. But actually, society tells you that you are meant to live uniquely from these two centers, your two head centers. So your crown centers and your mind center, also known as ajna, which is the mind dimension of you. I want to say the mental dimension, but I think mental means something else in English. Like crazy. But it's really the mind part of you is comprised by the crown center and the mind center. Now, human design, what alignment really is in human design is that your energy is equally distributed in all your energy centers. Actually, the whole concept of manifesting, which is something that happens effortlessly when you manage to surrender. According to human design, manifesting happens when the energy flows freely so that the pressure center, your crown center is one of two pressure centers, can just push the energy effortlessly out through your manifestation center, which is the throat center. Your root center can push up the energy through all the energy centers effortlessly out through your manifestation center. So the energy is meant to flow freely, and that is how you live in your highest alignment. That is how you live from your highest self, according to human design. And yet many of us will get stuck in these two centers. The energy can't flow freely. We don't have enough energy flowing here. So of course, we are not manifesting the things that we want to see in our lives. For example, starting a YouTube channel. So to look more into your head centers, so you have your crown center and your mind center, and we're just going to look a little deeper into those centers, because really releasing and deblocking the energy in those centers is the way in which you can surrender. So this is not official human design. It's just something that my personal unique interpretation of it is that your crown center is the more feminine aspect of your mind dimension. Ooh. And your mind center, your ajna, is a little more masculine in its character. And this is because the crown center is responsible for ideas, inspiration, also to ask questions. For example, how can I launch my YouTube channel? Whereas the mind center is more about rational, it's about logical thinking, it's about structuring. Also, a little side note, here we can see that is an interesting challenge, if we want to see it that way, that my soul chose for this incarnation. That I have such a huge need for freedom. According to my human design, I'm a manifestor, I have emotional authority, I have the 3 line. All those, they just want to play, they just want to explore, they just want to move through life in a more flowy, in a more feminine way. Yet I have this defined mind center that wants to figure things out, that wants to know the logical next step, which I don't always know. So that's just a side note, that even if you have a defined mind center, as I have, you can have other aspects in your chart that wants you to go a little more with the flow. You may or may not know that all of your 9 energy centers that we saw in this beautiful picture, they can have 2 modes, so they are binary. And you keep the same mode for each of your center throughout your whole life, so that's nothing that changes. But just a quick mini tutorial about the energy centers is that they can either be defined, which means that they're colored in your chart, and that represents an energy that you have consistent access to. Also an energy that you radiate out into the world, or they can be undefined, and that's represented by the center being white on your chart. If a center is undefined, it means that it's an energy that you do not have consistent access to, but that you can take in and amplify. But when you do it, how you do it is a little unpredictable. So that being said, regardless of the mode of your crown center and your mind center, so regardless if you have a defined crown and defined mind, or both undefined, or a defined mind and undefined crown, you can't have the reverse for technical reasons. This applies to all of you. This concept of surrendering applies to you. The difference is just that when you have an undefined mind center, crown center, you get your ideas, your inspiration a little more from your surroundings and a little less from within you. And if you have a defined crown center, your inspiration is something that comes within. You always have this access to ideas. You don't necessarily feel the need to be around other people's energy. But if it's undefined, you need other people's energy to kind of mold and shape and shift your own ideas, your own creative process. That is like the fuel for your creative process, if you so wish. Then looking at the mind center, a defined mind center means that you have this little more rational way of thinking and also of solving problems. And the way that you take on problems is kind of consistent, regardless of where you are and what people you are around. If you have an undefined mind center, you are maybe a little more open-minded in the way that you're thinking and also in the way that you solve problems. But still, the problem, the challenge, the kind of false programming that we all have from the matrix, from our society, is that we are meant to live life uniquely through our 2 head centers. And when you do that, really the underlying mechanism is that you put your attention on your head centers and you try to solve all the problems in your life from your head, which we're not designed to, because all your other 7 centers, they are there for you and they can't wait to help you. Actually, sometimes we'll say that, oh, we need to surrender, meaning that we just need to give things up for the universe to decide when things will manifest, and this is partly true, but time is proportional to energy. The more you can allow for the energy to flow freely in your whole system, the faster in linear time it is gonna manifest into your life. So the best thing you really can do is just to get out of your own way by allowing for the beautiful energy of yours to flow freely through all your 9 centers and not getting stuck in your head. So I told you that if you pay attention to the head centers and try to live your life and try to solve your problems, try to start a YouTube channel from your head centers, you block yourself actually, because all of your energy centers are constantly communicating information to you about the shortcut to your highest self, to living the life of abundance that you dream of, to your dream life. Right? So all of your centers, they're really working for you. They love you. They're really trying to tell you things, different things depending on the center. So your D center might tell you the exact spot you need to be at right now, because maybe your G center knows that you're gonna meet someone there. Your spleen center is giving you all kinds of intuitive guidance. Say yes to this, say no to that, go to that restaurant. So it can be about location, but it can be really about anything in life, and so on. Your sacral center might tell you that, hey, even if your head thinks that you need to do this tonight, the absolutely quickest way this is gonna manifest into your life is if you actually rest and you take this up tomorrow instead. It's gonna happen so much faster, because if you're gonna do it tonight, you're not in the right energy, you're depleted, you're just gonna feel frustrated, you may be gonna lose hope. So the biggest gift you can really give to yourself, the way that you surrender, is by listening to the messages, to the constant communication that is arising from all of your energy centers, not just your 2 head centers. So yeah, where attention goes, energy flows. So how you do this is actually by paying attention to your whole body. And this you can do by different ways. You can do it through embodiment practices. You can dance. I love dancing. You can do a little shaking. You can do some kind of movement. Cacao. I love cacao. Ooh, we have the little cacao bean here. Cacao is such a beautiful plant spirit and plant medicine, and she can help you to get in touch with your body, to feel more embodied. She actually increases the oxygen content in your blood by 40%, making you feel more embodied, making you pay attention more to the subtle signals of your beautiful body. And actually even Joe Dispenza talked about this. Joe Dispenza talked about that each of your chakras, sorry Indian friends, I think I pronounced it wrong, chakras, I think that's the correct pronunciation. Anyhow, all the energy centers, they have intelligence because they have neurons just like your brain. So your energy centers are constantly trying to communicate with you, and when you pay attention to them, you program them. You actually can program them into behaving the way that you want. You can dial them into abundance. So really it's somewhat, what is the word I'm looking for? Contradictory. The way that you surrender is not to be more in your head, but to be less in your head and more in your body. And the reason I did this whole video is that it can be easier to trust when you have this explanation from the human design framework. And it's not just like, oh, you should surrender because then things happen. Especially if you have a defined mind center like you want to have kind of a logical explanation. And now you see the explanation. You saw this little figure here. And you saw that when you can allow the energy to move freely, it's going to happen so much faster, because these are centers of intelligence that are working together, you see, as a network, because they have these channels between each other. When they can communicate freely, they're going to take you on the fast track to everything that you are dreaming of and more. That I promise you. So just to tell a little more about my experience with the YouTube channel was that I put so much focus on getting the IDs about the videos, so I overloaded my crown center. I was trying to force the IDs to come to me, and I was like, just give me the idea of that first damn video, and I tried to do it in all ways possible. I tried to be a little more flowy and play with it. I tried to sit down like, okay, Tuesday night, 7 p.m, I'm gonna sit down and shoot the first video. I blanked. I had absolutely no idea how I was gonna do it, what I was gonna talk about. And also I was trying to use my defined mind center a little too much and try to see, okay, what is the logical thing, the logical first thing I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna try to make this whole planning so that all the videos are gonna come out in, you know, in the right order. I put too much pressure on myself and I just couldn't use my head optimally. So the way I really could be able to finally give birth to this beautiful channel was by surrendering and thus letting the energy flow freely through all of my energy centers. And all of a sudden, when I moved my attention from the head and equalized and really equally distributed is the word I'm looking for, the energy in all my energy centers. That's why when my crown center suddenly wasn't overloaded anymore and it could stay open to receive these IDs, and suddenly the ID came and my mind center could see exactly how I should film this, how I should do it. So yeah, I hope that this gave you something. So you just get into your body and remember this picture, this beautiful picture. That alignment, according to human design, is really when the energy is equally distributed. That is when you, per definition, surrender. That is when you let go. And when you do that, magic happens and you manifest all your dreams and more. So thank you so much for watching with me today. It was my pleasure to hang out with you, and love you. Have a beautiful day, night. See you soon.